Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Talk Spicy. I'm Coach Gene Clemens. Thank you for joining me. Wherever you are joining me, rate the show, comment, agree, disagree, but whatever you do, keep it spicy. 5-star ratings are appreciated. And if you're joining me on my YouTube channel, like, subscribe, hit that notification bell so that you can be alerted anytime there's a new video uploaded. I was listening to Bomani Jones, and shout out to Bomani Jones. He has one of the best sports podcasts out there. It's a nice um, merger of sports and comedy and you know nerddom, which I'm all for. Um, and he was talking about the United States basketball team and their loss. But he had something really interesting to say that I wanted to address today. So I want to give him the opportunity. I want to hear what he said. I want you to hear what he said so that I'm not misquoting. And I'm going to tell you what my thoughts are on it.
I never feel good about the way that we treat Team USA basketball just because there ain't no pride in it from fans. And what I mean by pride is this. If Team USA wins in basketball, nobody's waving no flags. Nobody's screaming USA, USA. Nobody's like thrilled about it. And you could make the argument that, yeah, it's because they so good. We so good at gymnastics. We so good at swimming. We got a long list of sports that as the United States, we get out here and we dominate. And we still act like it's brand new every time we wind up winning it, except for basketball. If they win it, they're supposed to. If they lose it, we shame them and we tear down the whole thing. Like, you think about it. Since the 1972 loss to the Soviet Union, which, everybody roundly understands, it feels like the U.S. got cheated in that one. They lost in 1988. They tore down the whole program. They brought in the pros and decided that would never happen again.
So when we think about like what he's saying, he says he doesn't really know why it is. I think I know why it is, or at least I have an hypothesis as to why it is. So let's exclude individual sports because to a large extent, you have no other choice but to root for the person if they just keep winning. So there is no hate for Simone Biles from the large populace, at least now that she's won everybody over, because she just keeps winning. You can't destroy her because she always wins. The United States basketball team lost the first two games of exhibition after putting together a team that's not even fully together in like 5 or 6 days. And people were just taking shots at them, taking shots at them, taking shots at them. But why? Well, when it comes to USA basketball, and this is the men's team, and to a large extent, or at least to a large, maybe not as large of an extent, but definitely still the women's basketball team, if they were to lose, they get killed. More men because obviously the NBA's profile is larger than the WNBA's profile, but women would feel it as well. And what I believe is the issue, what nobody wants to say, is that the difference is that those other sports are not full of black people. Think about the sports that are Olympic sports that mostly black people dominate. It's sprinting and it's basketball. Period. End. So if you think about the two most heavily scrutinized, it's sprinting and it's basketball. Sprinting is interesting because it's individual. It's hard to get behind, okay, the collection. But United States sprinters have been essentially beaten down because they haven't been able to beat the greatest sprinter in the history of sprinting. Nobody beats Usain Bolt ever. Like in the history of track and field, no one has ever been faster than that man was 3 Olympics in a row. Yet, U.S. sprinters have been criticized. Same with the U.S. women's sprinters, criticized when they don't win the Olympics, when they don't win the championships. We don't have celebrations for the U.S. track team when they come home. We don't have celebrations for the U.S. track team, especially the sprinters, when they go back to their regular, everyday, whatever. Locally they may be celebrated, but they're not nationally celebrated. When the U.S. women's national team, when the soccer team wins, they have parades. They have celebrations everywhere. When they win the Olympics, when they win the World Cup, they're dominant. But if they lose, nobody ridicules them. They may criticize the coaching. They may say that they need to get back on the winning track, but nobody ridicules them. And they are the most dominant soccer team in the world and have been now since essentially 99. But let the men's basketball team lose an exhibition game, and there are all of the remarks, all of the clowning, all of the oh my goshes, all of the we gotta blow it up. Why? It's because it's dominated, while the U.S. women's national team soccer, and there's a reason why I'm not saying the men's national team, because they don't win. We're talking about dominant programs that we still celebrate, that we still beat our chest and say USA. We don't do it with basketball because the connection with the men's basketball team is one that's just simply about, oh, well, go out there and dominate. Don't embarrass us. That's it. It's not, hey, win it for your country. It's don't embarrass us. It's do what you're supposed to do. The pride is not there because the people who support that Olympic movement, the people who are all in on the Olympics, for the majority, are not Black. So when they look at the U.S. Olympic men's basketball team and they see a bunch of brothers, I could be 100% wrong, but it just seems strange how quick we are to not criticize, because I wanted to be understand. Nobody minds criticism. It's ridicule that is the part that goes beyond. There is no ridicule if the women's national team loses an exhibition. There's no ridicule. They go, oh, well, they're working some stuff out. They'll be ready when it's time. The men's national team loses, it's news. They win, nobody really talks about it. So they lost to Nigeria. Everybody lost their mind. They lost to Australia. The sky is falling. They blow out Argentina. Not even oh, USA got back on track. USA won. Not, okay, this is the United States we're waiting for. This is the team we're about to dominate now. No, it was just, oh, they won. That was the response to the blowout win. But the response to the losses were the sky is falling. What is wrong with USA basketball? Should Coach Popovich be the head coach of this team? Is this an assortment of players who can win? There's no team chemistry. There's too many selfish players. There's blah, 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 blah. The U.S. women's national team, soccer team, loses. There's not that same type of backlash. Somebody might be critical of how they played, but nobody makes it a referendum on the entire organization. They go, oh, that's a blip on the radar. They'll get it back. Why can't we afford the USA men's basketball team that same latitude? They literally just finished a season. A lot of those guys were in the playoffs. It skews us if they have to get back in shape. It only makes sense. We really got to look at these types of things because there's only one team that tends to get this level of scrutiny, not criticism. That's okay, but scrutiny, but like laughs, people who seem to have something to prove whenever they don't achieve. That's the part that Bomani says he doesn't understand, but I think it just has to do with look at the rosters. Do they look at this collection of black men who play basketball for money as American? Are they looking at them as Americans? Or are they just looking at them as hired guns? Do they recognize America within them? Like they recognize America when they look at the U.S. women's national team for soccer? I don't know. It's an interesting debate, and one I'd love to have. I'm not 100% sold that I'm right. It's just a theory based off of what we've seen in this country. It's not race baiting. I love the U.S. women's national team. I beat my chest when they are dominant. I beat my chest when the U.S. men's basketball team is dominant as well. But Bomani Jones isn't wrong. There is a legitimate difference in the way in which we criticize the men's basketball team as opposed to the way we criticize the U.S. women's national team. And I'm trying to use entities that are dominant, that could possibly have a hiccup and then have to, recover. Jones says whenever the U.S. men's national team the U.S. men's basketball team doesn't win at all, they blow the entire program up. That's so true. They don't blow the program up if the women's soccer team doesn't win it. They go, oh, they'll win the next one. It's interesting that way. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining me on Talk Spicy. I'm Coach Gene Clemens. We do this thing a couple times a week. Rate the show, comment, agree or disagree, but whatever you do, keep it spicy. 5-star ratings are appreciated. And if you're joining me on my YouTube channel, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. We'll see you again soon. Peace.